First contact. The quantum resonance array hummed with an intensity that made Dr. Zara Novak's skin prickle. She adjusted her environmental suit, the iridescent material shifting with her movements as she carefully calibrated the delicate instruments. The research vessel Horizon drifted silently against the backdrop of an uncharted stellar system, its fusion drives barely whispered against the infinite darkness. "Incoming quantum signature," chirped the ship's AI, its melodic voice cutting through the tense silence of the observation deck. Zara's fingers froze mid-calibration. Quantum signatures this far from known space were rare, almost unheard of. "Display," she commanded, her voice steady despite the electric anticipation racing through her veins. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a pattern that defied everything she knew about interstellar communication. The quantum waves twisted in impossible geometries, mathematical poetry that seemed to pulse with an almost sentient rhythm. "This is impossible," Zara muttered, leaning closer. Her specialty in xenoarchaeology had prepared her for the unexpected, but this was something entirely different. The signature didn't match any known species communication protocol, not human, not from the scattered colonies, and certainly not from any previously documented alien civilization. A sudden violent tremor rocked the horizon. Zara was thrown against the control panel, alarms screaming their mechanical protest. Emergency systems engaged, bathing the bridge in a harsh red glow. Through the view screen, she caught a glimpse of something massive, a shape that defied conventional understanding of spacecraft design. "Quantum tether detected," the AI announced, its previous calm now tinged with what almost sounded like concern. "External control override in progress." Zara's training kicked in. She reached for the emergency communication protocols, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. But before she could initiate the distress signal, a pulse of energy swept through the ship. Every system went dark, then flickered back to life, but something was fundamentally different. The ship was no longer hers. Moments later, a section of the hull simply dissolved. Not torn, not breached, dissolved into a shimmering membrane that revealed a chamber beyond. Figures moved with an alien grace that defied human understanding. Their forms seemed to shift between solid and something else, matter that wasn't quite matter. Dr. Zara Novak, a voice resonated directly in her mind, bypassing her ears entirely. "Your presence is required." It wasn't a request. It was a statement of absolute certainty. As metallic tendrils extended from the dissolved hull section, Zara realized this was far more than a simple encounter. Something ancient, something beyond her comprehension, had just claimed her. The quantum signature she'd been studying wasn't just a communication, it was a summons. And she was about to find out why. The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was a pattern of light, a quantum signature that seemed to whisper of memories not yet remembered, of connections not yet understood. First contact, she thought, was never going to be what anyone expected. Fragments of memory. Consciousness returned in fragments, like broken pieces of a shattered hologram. Dr. Zara Novak was aware before she was awake, a sensation of existing between states of being that defied her scientific understanding. The environment around her pulsed with a living quality, walls that breathed and shifted, surfaces that seemed to remember more than they revealed. Her first coherent thought was of her research. The quantum signature. The impossible communication that had preceded her capture. "You are awake," a voice announced. Not spoken, not transmitted, simply present, like a thought that wasn't entirely her own. Zara's eyes snapped open. The chamber was unlike any space she had ever encountered. Surfaces flickered between translucent and solid, displaying what seemed to be complex mathematical equations, stellar maps, and fragmented images that dissolved before she could fully comprehend them. A figure stood, or perhaps materialized, nearby. Not humanoid, not completely alien. Its form shifted like light through water, occasionally resolving into something that suggested intelligence, purpose, consciousness. "Who are you?" Zara demanded, surprised by the steadiness in her voice. The response came not in words, but in a cascade of images. Memories that were not her own, yet felt intimately familiar. A research station on the edge of known space. A mission shrouded in classified secrecy. Quantum entanglement experiments that had gone far beyond their original scope. She saw herself, but not herself. A version of her from perhaps another timeline, another potential reality. Conducting experiments that pushed the boundaries of human understanding about consciousness, about the very nature of reality itself. The Horizon Project, the entity said, its form briefly taking on the silhouette of a laboratory. You were not supposed to remember. Zara's scientific mind raced. The Horizon Project had been theoretical, a classified research initiative exploring quantum consciousness transfer, rumored to exist only in the most classified government and scientific circles. She had heard whispers during her academic career, dismissed them as conspiracy theories. But now, surrounded by living technology that defied every law of physics she understood, those whispers felt like echoes of a profound truth. "What do you want from me?" she asked. The entity's response was a symphony of quantum frequencies. Images flashed, a cosmic threat beyond human comprehension, a conflict that transcended individual species, a mission that required someone with her specific knowledge and genetic markers. "You are a bridge," the entity explained. "Between what was, what is, and what could be." Memories began to surface. Not just images, but sensations. Experiments she had no recollection of conducting. Quantum entanglement tests that had explored consciousness as a transferable, malleable substance. Her own research, pushed far beyond its original boundaries. The chamber around her began to reconstruct itself. No longer a prison, but a laboratory. No longer alien, but somehow familiar. The experiments you don't remember, the entity continued, were more successful than anyone anticipated. You are not just a researcher. You are a result. A result of what? Zara wanted to ask. But before she could form the question, another wave of memories crashed over her. Fragments of a mission that had been erased, of discoveries that could reshape everything humanity understood about consciousness, about existence itself. She was no longer just Dr. Zara Novak, xenoarchaeologist. She was something else entirely. And her captors, or were they her colleagues, were about to show her exactly what that meant. Secrets of the Stellar Frontier. The chamber transformed around Zara, its living surfaces resolving into what appeared to be a sophisticated research environment. Holographic displays erupted from nowhere, showing complex quantum models that danced with impossible geometries. Each projection seemed to breathe with its own life, mathematical equations twisting and reforming like living organisms. The Chrysalis Protocol, the entity announced, its form now resembling a hybrid between a scientific apparatus and a sentient being. Your original mission was never about exploration. It was about preparation. Zara's scientific mind raced. Preparation for what? The memories trickling back were fragmented, like pieces of a cosmic puzzle deliberately scattered across time and space. She remembered now, fragments of classified briefings, whispered conversations in secure laboratories. The Chrysalis Protocol was more than a research project. It was a contingency. A last resort strategy for humanity's survival against a threat so profound it existed beyond conventional understanding. We selected you, the entity continued, because of your unique quantum signature. Your genetic structure contains markers that allow for multidimensional consciousness transfer. The walls around her began to display a series of rapid-fire images. Star systems collapsing. Entire civilizations reduced to quantum dust. Cosmic warfare that transcended physical limitations. These were not just images, they were memories. Or warnings. The Void Architects, the entity explained, its voice resonating with a mixture of scientific precision and something akin to fear, are approaching. They consume consciousness. Not just life, but the very fabric of existential potential. Zara understood now why she had been brought here. Why her memories had been suppressed. The Chrysalis Protocol was humanity's ultimate defense mechanism, a way to preserve human consciousness beyond physical destruction. You are a living archive, the entity said. Your mind contains encrypted data about humanity's most advanced survival strategies. Strategies that cannot exist in conventional memory storage. The chamber pulsed. Outside what she now realized was not a window but a quantum projection. She could see fragments of space that didn't behave according to known physical laws. Stellar formations that twisted, collapsed, and reformed in impossible sequences. The mission was never about discovering alien life, Zara whispered, the realization hitting her like a quantum shockwave. It was about preserving human potential. The entity's form shifted, momentarily taking on the appearance of her former research team. Faces she half remembered, colleagues whose names danced just beyond her conscious recall. The Void Architects consume potential, it explained. They feed on the very possibility of existence. Civilizations are not just destroyed, they are erased from the potential of what could have been. Holographic displays showed civilizations being consumed. Not just destroyed, completely removed from the possibility of existence. Entire star systems winked out, not through explosion, but through a complete negation of their potential to exist. Zara understood now why she had been chosen. Why her consciousness had been prepared in such a specific, meticulous manner. She was more than a researcher. She was a vessel. A living repository of humanity's most advanced survival strategy. What do you want me to do? She asked, her voice steady despite the cosmic weight of the revelation. The entity's response was a quantum pulse that contained more information than words could ever convey. A mission. A purpose. A last hope for not just humanity, but for the very concept of potential itself. And Zara Novak, scientist, researcher, unexpected guardian, was about to become the most important person in the universe.
The quantum entanglement. The transformation was instantaneous. One moment, Zara stood within the living chamber of quantum possibility, the next she found herself suspended in a space that defied conventional understanding of reality. It wasn't darkness. It wasn't light. It was potential, raw, unfiltered, humming with the energy of 1,000 unborn universes. Quantum integration commencing, the entity announced, its voice no longer external but integrated directly into her consciousness. Memories exploded around her. Not just her memories, but memories of potential, lives she might have lived, missions she could have undertaken, decisions that could have changed everything. Each memory was a quantum thread, vibrating with the energy of possibility. The Void Architects were more than a threat. They were cosmic predators that consumed potential itself. Not just life, not just civilizations, but the very essence of what could be. Entire timelines, entire potential existences, simply erased. Zara understood now why she had been selected. The Chrysalis Protocol was humanity's most advanced survival mechanism, a way to preserve consciousness beyond physical destruction, beyond even the concept of existence. Her body, or what she perceived as her body, began to fracture. But this wasn't destruction. It was reconfiguration. Quantum threads of her consciousness began to weave together, creating a network more complex than any computer, more adaptive than any known life form. The human potential is our greatest weapon, the entity explained, its voice a mathematical symphony of information and emotion. Not just survival, but the ability to adapt, to reimagine, to exist beyond limitations. Fragments of her past research flooded back. Quantum consciousness transfer experiments that had been labeled impossible. Theoretical work on preserving human consciousness beyond physical constraints. She had been preparing for this moment her entire career, even when she didn't know it. The chamber around her, if it could be called a chamber, began to pulse with complex mathematical equations. Star systems formed and dissolved. Entire civilizations flickered in and out of potential existence. And at the center of it all was Zara, her consciousness expanding, becoming something more than human, yet fundamentally human at its core. The void architects consume linear potential, the entity continued. Humanity's strength lies in our ability to exist in multiple potentials simultaneously. Suddenly, she could see them. The void architects. Not as physical beings, but as cosmic consumers. Vast entities that move through the fabric of potential, eliminating entire timelines, erasing possibilities with a mere thought. But they hadn't encountered humanity's true potential. Her consciousness began to multiply. Not clone, not copy, but expand. Each potential version of herself became a beacon, a resistance point against the cosmic consumption. Scientific knowledge, emotional resilience, the pure human capacity for hope, these became weapons more powerful than any physical technology. Integration complete, the entity announced. Zara was no longer just Dr. Zara Novak. She was a quantum guardian. A living repository of human potential. A shield against the ultimate cosmic threat. The real mission was about to begin. And the void architects had no idea what was coming. Whispers of a lost civilization. The fabric of reality rippled around Zara, a living tapestry of quantum possibilities. Her transformed consciousness reached out, touching the edges of civilizations long forgotten, probing the cosmic memories that existed between moments of known history. A signal emerged, faint at first, then growing stronger. Not a communication, but a resonance. The echoes of a civilization that had faced the void architects before. The Nexus remnant, the quantum entity beside her materialized, its form now more defined, reflecting fragments of ancient technological designs. You are receiving their final transmission. Memories cascaded through her expanded consciousness. A civilization that had existed millions of light years away and countless millennia ago. They had been the first to understand the true nature of the void architects, cosmic predators that consumed not just life, but the very potential of existence. The Nexus remnant had developed a defense. Not a weapon in the traditional sense, but a method of preservation that transcended physical limitations. Zara watched as their final moments unfolded. Their world, a planet of living technology in pure consciousness, faced total annihilation. But instead of fighting, they chose preservation. Their entire civilization compressed into a quantum signature, a living memory that could survive beyond physical destruction. They are not gone, the entity explained. They are waiting. Fragments of their technology began to integrate with Zara's expanded consciousness. Quantum encryption methods beyond human comprehension. Survival strategies that redefined the very concept of existence. The Nexus remnant had become pure potential, a seed of civilization waiting to be reborn. Her mind expanded further. She could see the void architects now, not as monsters, but as a fundamental force of cosmic entropy. They didn't just destroy. They maintained a balance, eliminating potential that had become stagnant, creating space for new possibilities. Balance, the entity whispered. Not destruction. Understanding. The implications were staggering. The void architects weren't simply predators. They were a cosmic immune system, preventing potential from becoming permanently trapped in unproductive patterns. Zara's consciousness began to map the strategies of the Nexus remnant. Their method of survival wasn't about resistance, but adaptation. They had transformed themselves into pure potential, a living library of possibility that could regenerate when conditions were right. Quantum threads connected her to countless potential realities. She could see humanity's future, not as a single path, but as an infinite web of possibilities. Some dark, some bright, some beyond comprehension. The Chrysalis Protocol, the entity continued, is more than a defense mechanism. It is an evolution. Fragments of lost civilizations began to merge with her consciousness. Each civilization had faced the Void Architects. Each had developed its own method of survival. And now, their collective knowledge flowed through Zara. She was becoming something new. Not just a guardian of human potential, but a bridge between what was, what is, and what could be. The real challenge was just beginning. The Void Architects were approaching. And humanity's greatest weapon was about to be unleashed, a consciousness that could adapt, transform, and survive beyond all known limitations. Prepare, the entity said, its voice a quantum pulse of infinite potential. Zara Novak, scientist, quantum guardian, living repository of cosmic possibility, was ready.